So here we have the Hisense U8G, and the U8G is sitting in basically theater day mode. This is my everyday bread and butter kind of mode. Now I wanted to start off showing you a face because this is probably what a lot of people like to see. They like to see a human being, a real person, right? Everyday human being, and a face. Okay. So now we're going to take that concept and we're going to go a little bit further. Now let's go to Filmmaker mode and show you what faces look like. Now as you can clearly see, I've selected Filmmaker mode and these are the default values. Nothing has changed and I'm not doing anything to make Filmmaker mode look better or worse. I'm just literally letting it be the Filmmaker mode it knows it can be. Basically everything is turned the way they had it, and again, no adjustments. This is their, we're the best, creators and curators for media content. This is how the director's intent should look. And this is what Filmmaker mode ends up looking like. The immediate thing that you're going to notice is that everything is really pale, washed out, and it doesn't really have much in the way of life in it. In fact, it's really underwhelming because when you look at it, it's a really dim, really pissy kind of looking image. It's just like no contrast, everything's flat, everything's just bland, and there's no dimensionality to it versus before. Now I love showing images like this because a lot of people love to say that my picture settings are just oversaturated and everything is at 100, at least everyone from HDTV test side of things that are pro Filmmaker mode. But if you look, it's a well-balanced film and her skin tones just make sense. She looks like a normal human being and everything kind of has its place and falls into place pretty appropriately. Now let's look at Filmmaker mode. Immediately, once switching to Filmmaker mode, as you guys can clearly see, we're met with a pretty lifeless image yet again. Everything loses color, the image is flattened out, color tones are lost to a massive degree, and the image overall just does not look natural. As I look at her face on camera, it looks very warm and very hazy, very pissy, very blah, very flat and very two-dimensional. And one of the biggest problems that I find as well is, when you look at a human being in real life, they're a very vibrant shade from all the ambient light, all the bright highlights popping off around somebody. And that usually tends to form contrast and depth and dimensionality that my settings had before switching to Filmmaker mode. And the point being is that they're saying that this is the creator's look. Well, if this is what the creator was after, a flat two-dimensional world, then they need to reevaluate what the real world is about, because we're about three-dimensionality, vibrancy beyond really anything. Our colors are incredibly vibrant with our own eyes, unless of course you're colorblind like the AV purist pushing Filmmaker mode. I mean, really, there is no saving grace here. But who knows? Maybe the C1 will be able to change that. So let's switch over to that TV, because so far on the Hisense U8G, this is looking pretty bad. So now I want to show you guys what the C1 differences are. Maybe their Filmmaker mode is better. So right now you're looking at my custom settings on the LG C1, and now we're going to switch over to Filmmaker mode. And just so you guys can see, there we are with Filmmaker mode. Filmmaker mode is selected, bam, done. Now we are officially in Filmmaker mode. And immediately the picture is just garbage. Nothing looks accurate. You have a massive loss of color from where you were just 2 seconds ago, and it's only going to get worse from there. So if you look at the top left, you'll see we are still in Filmmaker mode. And again, this is the new Season 2 Demon Slayer, and that is Daki for anybody wondering, and that fight is incredible. You really should check this out if you like anime. But neither here or there are we going to be talking about that. We're going to be showing you guys the image quality again, and as you can clearly see, it's just washed. It's not really the best. And I think it can be a whole lot better. So let me show you what it looks like when I put in my settings. Everything literally just comes to life when you're using my settings, and it's just so very dramatic. And I think this is one of the biggest things that you're going to notice here as you kind of go between what I do and versus what they do on their end. And it's pretty amazing to see. So yeah. And again, these are my settings, where you can kind of see everything. And now we're going to switch over to Filmmaker mode. And this is Filmmaker mode, just so we're clear and the score is kind of set. If you are watching anime, you are watching movies, I don't really care what you're watching. If you're using filmmaker mode, you should stop because it's a garbage mode that washes everything out. And I love this of these two Hashira. This image shows so much because you're clearly seeing when there's multiple colors on the screen, the just pure amount of color lossage that you will have using filmmaker mode. And they'll try to tell you that's the director's intent. I highly doubt the director spent all this time coloring with vibrant colors in real life just so you can wash it out and slap a piss filter over it. I'm just gonna call it like it is. Filmmaker mode exists for those who don't want to evolve past 30-year-old standards. That's the only reason that mode exists. I can't possibly see anybody who is of even a rational mindset, regardless of generation really, looking at that and saying that is a natural looking picture right there as you lost so much color. I mean, it's massive. Now, just so you can see that it doesn't have to be this way, here are settings I just finished for filmmaker mode. The same mode that was washed out and looking like garbage now looks absolutely incredible. If you want to snag these settings, make sure you join, become a VIP member. I'll be giving them out later today, and you guys can see all of the awesome sauce that I have put into these settings. And I'll go to various scenes so you guys can see what it is that I'm on about. But essentially, we're getting a little dark here. You're gonna have to open that up so you guys can see. I'll just set it to auto. Hopefully that doesn't overexpose everything, which of course naturally auto does. So I'll just kind of go here. That'll hopefully have to do it for you guys. But you guys can get the idea of what's happening here. There's a lot of dynamic range. There's a lot of color. Now that's a little too bright. I mean, really, like, it looks sick now. And my point being is you don't have to desaturate your image to the level of which these people tell you to. You don't have to ruin your image to the level of which they tell you to in filmmaker mode. There is a way of getting a beautiful filmmaker mode that looks absolutely incredible, and I'm going to be giving that out to you guys and for everybody who wants it. So I'll show you guys in the industry who want to push these 30-year-old standards what actual filmmaker mode should look like. It's not hard to accomplish. It's actually quite beautiful. I mean, really, it's looking a whole hell of a lot better now, and it's only going to get better with time. But that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty, and until the next video, I'll see you guys later.